We'll start with the clerk is here. She is seated. We're ready to go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City Council meeting of February 24th, 2025. You would please remember to silence your phones and other devices. And as we traditionally do, if we could begin this evening with a moment of silence. Would you join me in a brief moment of silence? Thank you. Now, if you would please rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Let's start off with old business. City Manager, do we have any old business to report?
No, sir.
Okay. Consent agenda. Does anybody on the council wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? All right. Would anybody from the public like to comment on items 2 through 9 of the consent agenda? Seeing none, let's close that public comment period and bring it back to council. A motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Laura, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Hall Harrison. Aye. Councilmember Guthrie.
Aye.
Councilmember Wurzel. Aye. Councilmember Wild.
Aye.
Mayor Lyon.
Aye. Okay. Let's open the public period, which is the time when anybody would like to address the council on any item that's not otherwise on the agenda. This would be the moment. Okay, but I tell you what, I'll make it easy on everyone because I have in front of me 3 speakers cards. 4 speakers cards. If Mr. Peter Leardon.
Thank you, Commissioners. Pete Leardon, 961 Camelot Road, and I'm here to share my experience with the pickleball reservation system. I was here when the courts were being debated to be upgraded, and the debate was whether to go with open play or the reservation system. And the problem I have is that the reservation system has become a de facto open play. If you're not first in line to reserve a court, basically a small group of people are monopolizing all of the courts by booking all of them. So, at first you could call in and, if you weren't first, then basically they would have 4 people on a conference call and they would book 4 courts. And then you could go in person and book them in person, and so staff would deal with the people in front of them first and then take the phone call, so you could get a court that way. But at 8 o'clock, getting in line at 8 o'clock to get a court became a 7:50 time to get a court, and now it's 7:40. I was there on Tuesday. I got there at 7:45. I was 4th in line. People, it's 4 courts, so I should be able to get a court. And the people ahead of me booked 3 courts, or all 4 actually, using a power of attorney for somebody that did not show up. Fortunately for me, the person that was first in line invited me to play, so I was out there on Thursday. And we played next to an empty court because the people who booked all 4 courts, or all 3, weren't using them because they don't know who's playing with them. The city has rules that you're supposed to reserve, who you're playing with before you book the reservation. And instead, it's like Field of Dreams. They just book all the courts and then see who will play, and then people don't show up. And then so, Thursday I got there, 7:30 this time. The grounds crew was not happy to see me. They said, you can't come in till 8. We're blowing the blowing the parking lot. I said, well, I can't get a pickleball court if I don't get here early. And so I got there, 7:34. This crew showed up. I was first in line. I got a court for my friends who know how to play. They got all the rest of the courts for Thursday night. Again, Thursday night we were playing. There's empty courts sitting there. People aren't using them. This happens over and over again. I was there on Sunday, which is the only peak time that you can book a court without getting there, first in line, because they don't monopolize those. And Sunday the courts were full. There's a lot of new people I've never seen up there before. They're having a great time, and it's not about me, but I feel like when people monopolize the courts just to have control of who can play, it leaves everybody else out. And I think that, I'd like to see staff do something about it. Maybe limit, how many courts somebody can book in a week. The other thing would be, like, if you're going to not follow the rules and you're just going to book courts and then people don't show up, or the people on your guest list aren't playing with you, maybe you can sit tight till 10 a.m., on the day the courts are getting booked, and let the rest of the city get a chance to book courts. When you guys did this thing, I was like, I'll go talk about pickleball. Didn't think I'd be here again, but I really do think it's a problem. If the city, I know part of the incentive was, let's get memberships up. I got a couple friends that have booked memberships, they can't get a court. You're not going to sell memberships. Staff is having to deal with this and manage it. And I think it's just, the whole thing seems unnecessary to me. And again, it's, if people book courts and they're playing with people that are on their guest list, that's fine, that's what I want to do. But when you're booking courts just to control who can play, then to me, you're cutting out a bunch of people and it's not fair. And I think it's an issue. So I wanted to express my experience. Thank you for your time.
I have a question for Mr. Learman. Do
Yeah.
you find this to be the same group of people or same small pack of people every single time you go that are doing this? Like
100%. It's the same people that show up. I was there Tuesday morning, I was there Thursday morning to book a court. I'm afraid, if I want to get a court, I'll have to probably camp out like Bruce Springsteen tickets or something. They're there. If I get there at 7:40, they're going to be there at 7:30 the next morning. Like, it's crazy. It's the same people every time. If I want to get a power of attorney with all my friends and get there, camp out, book a court, I can do that too. That doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Leary.
Thank you.
All right. Ryan McDavid.
Yes.
Just
Yeah.
remind everybody we have a 3-minute system here.
Thank you.
So that-
No, mine will be short. Thank you.
Okay.
My name's Ryan McDavid. I'm a Maitland resident also. Pete stated it well. And to be honest with you, I never thought I'd be at a council meeting talking about pickleball reservations. It's a first, and hopefully the last. But we just need to come up with a solution and work together with you and figure it out. You're not going to make everybody happy. Right? That's a hard job you have. We understand that. My wife, who plays through the city of Maitland in the women's tennis league, she's a member. And so I know there's no family memberships, and that's okay, that's fine. I had to ask her, I didn't know, so I'm trying to book pickleball courts. Got together with my buddies, to be honest, trying to figure out how we could compete with this group of people that is getting these courts. I'll pay the $50. So last week, I got my own individual membership. My wife also has one, so now I'm $100 deep in a membership, and I still can't get a court. Just to put it real bluntly, I got to work at 7, so I'm not going to go to the Mayo and wait in line right there at the community center. My wife's like, you want me to do what for you to get a pickleball court? So don't have the answers. We're here to work with you to figure it out. There's got to be a better way to do this. And so I've witnessed it. I play a lot up there. I play on open nights, even when I may feel like the competition, I'd like to have more or whatever it may be, but I also like playing in my community with people that have never played. Beginners, it's not about, we want our own group that are better pickleball players. It's not about that at all with these group of guys and the people we play with. We're inclusive of all that want to play. When we book a court, though, we would like to book the court and play with the people that we booked the court with. And what's happened is just what Pete said. The courts are monopolized. Tomorrow night I try to get a court. All 4 courts are booked starting at 6:30 by one individual. You can look up the log. Tomorrow night, 6:30, all 4, they're booked. Can't get a court tomorrow. So that's current news. So thank you for your time, and be happy to offer any solutions with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McDavid. All right, Jay Howard.
I'll forego my comments. They pretty much covered it.
Okay, can we say you're largely in agreement with the?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. All right, and Stacy Larson. I think I'm getting that right. Is that correct? Larson? Thank you, gentlemen, for showing up.
Thank you.
Yeah, you would think it would be almost impossible to mess that up, and yet I've spent most of my life correcting people that it is not, in fact, Lawson. It could be my southern accent, perhaps. I am Stacy Larson. I'm the director of the Maitland Public Library. I spoke to y'all 2 weeks ago and said, hey, it's Astronomy Week coming up. Y'all should come. It is Astronomy Week now. Y'all should come. But please don't come tonight. I told you if you wrapped up your meeting really fast, we could all adjourn to Quinn Strong Park and do telescope viewing, but you will get water in your eye instead. So we have rescheduled tonight's telescope night to Thursday night. So we have telescope viewing, weather permitting, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7:30-ish. I encourage everyone to take advantage of Maitland's unique and very special geography that lets you see the sky despite the glow coming from Orlando. Because you're up high enough, you miss some of that glow. I also especially want to encourage everyone to come tomorrow afternoon. City folks, take your break at 4 o'clock because we are having an inflatable planetarium from the Museum of Arts and Sciences. This guy is 20 feet across and 12 feet high. It will take up most of my meeting room, and you know how big my meeting room is, and it is going to be one giant bubble igloo of stars. So please come take advantage of the Astronomy Week Planetarium, and then we have talks on both Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday is Celestial Developments, and Thursdays is Martian Geology. So please come to the library. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Larson. Does anybody else have any comment for City Council and the public at large? Anybody at all? And once, or twice, closed. We're closing the public period. Now we're on to decisions, and decision for the evening is, first decision for the evening is how to deal with our council seat 4 vacancy. And I'll ask Mr. Brigantine to introduce the item.
No problem. I'll be brief because I think we all understand the situation we're in right now. Obviously, Councilmember Hall Harrison tendered her resignation from City Council effective March 25th, 2025. Her second term is scheduled to expire after the March 2026 election. So just from me and staff, I want to thank you for your service to the community. It's been a pleasure working with you for the last 5 years. You will be missed. So thank you for what you've done. You've always made your decisions with the best interest of the community at heart, and no one can ask more than that. So thank you very much for that. However, dealing with the vacancy pursuant to Section 206 of the Charter, vacancies in the forfeiture's office, under that situation, vacant council seat is an appointment by the City Council, by the remaining members of the City Council, so the remaining 4 of you, within 30 days of the resignation, can choose to appoint a new member to serve out Lindsay's term. If you would choose not to take advantage of that in that 30-day period, then we would devote the Supervisor of Elections Office to call a special election. Again, according to the Charter, that would be within 90, no later than 90 days, but no sooner than 120, between 90 and 120 days out. So those are your 2 options for filling the position. What we're asking for tonight is some direction on how you'd like to approach the situation. I guess we're somewhat fortunate in the fact that Lindsay's given us basically 2 months to work through this, so we have some time to figure this out, but we don't want to let the moss grow under our feet. So what Lori and I are asking for tonight is some direction on perhaps if you're going to do an appointment, how you would like to handle that. Just as an example, the last time we had this come up was when Councilmember Joy Goff-Marcel resigned to take her seat in the Florida legislature. At that time, we solicited some applications. We had 3 applications, 2 that came in on time, but two that were for consideration. And Councilmember Wild was appointed at that time, so 7 years later, here we are. So, looking for some direction. If you have any questions, Lori and I can certainly answer those, but looking for some direction how we'd like to move forward over the next 2 months to address the vacant position.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And I'd just like to say also, it is sad to lose you on this council because you've been such an excellent member, always certainly up to date, understanding the items, asking hard questions, sometimes taking tough stances. I mean, I think you were, it's the best you can hope for in a city council person. So thank you for all you've done for the last several years. And it's going to leave a hole in the council, but you know, we're going to have to move forward anyway and figure out a way to get along with that. I guess, and so we could, you know, we could do it one of two ways, as Mark pointed out. We could hunt and have an election, or we can appoint somebody to the seat according to our charter to serve out Lindsay's term. So my desire would be to do an appointment, just because it's, I think it's more expeditious. It's going to save a lot of money, and it is, I think, a tried and true way to fill the council seats with your head. It's not the first time this has happened. So I don't know. Does anybody have any desire to do other ones?
I'll just wait first solely to say, A, I agree with you regarding appointment. Sorry, I put him in my mouth. In case, since, you know, for our YouTube audience, we can't speak to each other about what has now become a sunshine issue. Everyone, I told Mark this morning, I don't want to be in the consideration, just so that's clear, because I don't want anyone to not know that while we're sitting up here talking about it. That's all I'm going to say. But I do think we should appoint someone. Just not me.
I was kind of hoping that would be a consideration. So, I mean, because everybody on here, the thing is, we have so much cohesiveness, and everybody knows exactly what's going on. It doesn't matter who we bring in. They're not going to know what we've done in the last year or two, and not been at the meetings and keeping up with everything. So
I agree. I would be great.
you would be great. As long as you know that. That's what I wanted to make sure. So that's where I was going with
No,
this.
and honestly, just because of me making the decision not to run in the first place based on career and family plans, those didn't go away. And I did talk to my family about it. And they still feel much strongly about having Mom back to make grilled cheese on Mondays so that my husband doesn't have to burn things anymore.
It's Mondays.
Correct.
When we come over.
But in any case, but I know that there are, I've heard from at least one resident who's interested and who does not otherwise intend to run, because I know that's sometimes a consideration. And so I know that there's interest out there.
Yeah.
Good qualified people.
So I've talked to 3 other people.
Oh, wow.
The same story. They don't want to run, but they would be happy to fill that spot. And I can say that they come with knowledge and expertise with the city and what's going on in the city. So I think, you know, how we did it when Mike was appointed was, what Mark was saying, we took applications. And if I remember at the time, John, you made a good point, and I kind of feel that way today, is that, you know, I would like to see it be somebody who's going to just come in and do that 1 year and not use it as a tool to run again for a campaign. So I would definitely like to do it by application.
Okay. Anybody else have feelings, opinions?
I think the appointment is the right idea. I guess I am the topic of this because I was the most recent example of this. The time lapse from, I was appointed, I think, in November or December. So it was going to be like 1 or 2 meetings that I did 1 meeting. 1 or 2 meetings before then I would actually then submit an application or qualify to run. So from an incumbency standpoint and whatever was a different deal than this one, which is that this person would be there for 6 or 7 months before they would then qualify to run. So whether or not the two are the same or not, I think we can all make your, and whether or not there'd be some view that there'd be some incumbent advantage of that, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think, when I was there, it was literally going to be one or two meetings. But anyway, whether or not that or we should weigh that in a decision as to whether or not someone wants to run again, I'm not sure. If someone was the most qualified person and they said they may or may not commit to not running, I don't know if you'd say we would take that person out of the mix. But that would be I think a point that makes a lot of sense to not have to have an election for the process.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Lori, or the Lori wanted to. It is, I would say this though about the
Oh, let
process.
me on another canvassing board.
Yeah. I do think as we think about this, we have had cohesiveness up here. I've certainly enjoyed serving with all of you, and sitting next to Lindsay has been great. And so I feel like whoever comes in it's going to be hard I want to have, from a staff perspective, that we're doing this in a way where we're not, we're going to be putting 3 new council people at, and that can change a lot. And so I think there's just got to be recognition of that from a staff perspective, that we're making this transition as smooth as possible, because I've enjoyed working with all of us. Different.
It's a good point that in a couple of months, we're going to have 3 new members up there. Yeah, it's worse on this decline. Although she did say she would not serve if appointed. So she said she wouldn't get around.
No one said you had to volunteer. I guess that's one thing we didn't talk about. Does the person have to consent?
Not in these days.
So I just want to say something also, and a ton of people have heard me say this. And John, you know, I've been coming to council meetings for 10, 15 years and sitting through them and everything. And I really think this is the best council that I've ever seen up here. I mean, we work well together. A lot of big brains on behind the dais, and no, we just have a great relationship. And you know, you don't see that in a lot of councils. You see them fighting and bickering, and we work together, even if we don't agree. We work through it, and we respect one another at the end of the day. And this has been just awesome working with everybody. And that being said, we are getting ready to lose 60% of the council, and so it's just going to be poor John and I. So that's kind of why I think, you know, we should just do it by application, and then we can review those and make our pick of the best one, because we really do, John, at the end of the day, we really do need somebody who's knowledgeable up here to help us.
Can we make the process whatever we want, like in terms of like whether we require an interview, like stuff like that?
Yes, you have the freedom to do that, whatever, you are the judge of your own qualifications.
So
It needs to be something more than what we do for the boards, where we just blindly pick people we've never heard of.
John, Maitland R.
Oh, good one. I get that. That's the jerk. I get it.
So is there a timeline issue, Mark, here? Is there, I mean, I know that March 25th is the resignation
That starts
date.
your 30-day clock.
That starts a 30-day clock, so you can start the process prior to that. Anytime you can start the process tonight, that's kind of what we're asking.
But you wouldn't make the final motion until after the effective date of the
Yes.
resignation.
So we can't make a decision until after the...
Correct, I would wait until after the effective date, until there actually is a vacancy before you fill the vacancy, but you can have preliminary discussions prior to, but then the formal motion after the effective date of the resignation.
Unless you guys want to make a decision sooner, and then I will resign sooner. I am open to whatever maintains continuity of council.
Well, I think if we saw it, if we canceled the next meeting, then you only have one meeting left. So we don't need to push you out. I don't think.
So we could
I think we'll
do
keep you-
like any part of the process other than the official, this is who it is,
Yeah.
prior to her resignation.
So if you wanted to have interviews or something like that, you could do the interviews ahead of time. It's just that final decision of who the appointee is going to be should occur after the vacancy has occurred.
Okay,
So-
can I ask if you want to start with applications, do you want to define a timeline of, do you want to make it open till the end of the month, to the first week of March?
I think I'd figure out if we're gonna, yeah, I mean, it's, the timing of it's awkward with also the election, yeah, so I would say the week before your last meeting, something like that, so that at the last meeting, that whatever applications are in. That makes sense.
So would we meet with Mark and Lori and go over those? Is that like?
I'm just being realistic, that would give us essentially 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Is what I'm thinking. That gives 3 weeks
So-
for the city to advertise this in some manner.
Oh, you're
And then-
saying have the applications due at that time?
Right.
The reason I like well, there's a couple reasons. I like the idea of having some sort of like in-person thing. One is probably obvious, just it's nice to talk to them, but also with the restrictions of sunshine. I don't like the idea of each of us having different conversations with the same person, if that makes sense, and so that we all know that we have the same information. That's part of what I think the benefit, because I assume we really can't talk about it
So when you
outside
say,
of the
Amongst each other, you can,
right.
so when you say interview, so you're thinking that there would be an interview in like a council chamber kind of a thing? During
Yeah,
a
like a
council
special
meeting?
session or
Not an
something.
individual interviews?
I don't know what it would look like. I guess just the point, like I said, that we could all,
Okay. No, I like that.
because we can't talk about it otherwise. Otherwise, it'd be great to just be able to go confer about stuff, but since we can't do that, you know what I mean?
I think that works out great because you can give everybody, like, we could do it one night and say, all right, from 6 to 6:30, this one person, 6:30
It
to
could be
7.
15 minutes. It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be
whatever it
something
is,
crazy.
30 minutes.
I do have a bit of it like an American Idol idea, for maybe like some performances as well. But I call reality show producer.
I thought you were actually talking about how you were going to vote on this. I thought you were for real. I was
Turn your
like,
chair
I was
Well,
like
we
interested.
can set up a call and only get one application, and then some of this,
I think we're going to get more than one.
Yeah.
It sounds
If
like.
we got 30, then presumably we might have to narrow them down another way. So I don't know if you can really create the procedures before you know how many people you have,
Okay.
but,
So does that time frame saying by, look at the calendar.
Well, so it's the 24th we would do that on unless we had a special meeting, but, so we have meetings on March 10th and March 24th. And then we have to make the decision on April 14th. Is that right? April 14th is our first meeting in April, and the first meeting after the resignation becomes effective.
So if you said 3 weeks from today is March 17th, is that right?
That's when all the applications will be due in.
Do you think that's enough time or too much
No,
time?
I think that, might be too much time, but that's fine. I'd rather too much than too little time. And you have people complaining, they didn't have an opportunity. You give them the 3 weeks, there's, can't really complain.
So then when we, Laura, do you think we have a special meeting that is the interview process, or would you do it on the meeting of the 20th?
however you guys think, like in terms of whatever the agenda. I don't know if we'll have a heavy agenda because we're skipping, potentially, if we vote in a minute.
I would-
It's going to eliminate a meeting.
I would throw this out. I would say we have like just a night that we do an interview process. We give them so much time to speak, but then afterwards, they leave and then we are able to talk between us about what our thoughts are of that candidate and an interview process, and then bring in the next person, do the same thing.
Well, they're all going to, no matter how we do it, it has to be open to everybody.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, so everybody has to sit in here and listen to the other person's
Yeah.
interview?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when I don't know if you remember when we do Mark and Lori's reviews. It's kind of awkward like that.
Yeah, there's no executive session or anything.
But I think that it eliminates, we can never get rid of the requirement that we're going to end up sometimes having to discuss things that could be awkward, but at least when we're all hearing the exact same answers, sometimes that eliminates some of the conversation that needs to be had. Do you know what I mean? If you hear things and you're all like, okay, thanks for coming, or whatever, I think that it just is easier when we all hear the same things as opposed to when we all come in with different,
Right.
then we discuss all that.
I'm in agreement. I like the idea. I think I heard Mike likes it too, right? Mike,
What's that?
the process that we're talking about, let them all come in and kind of say, give them 5 minutes or whatever, or 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I think with all this full disclosure from getting to know them, and, because like we said, the process for appointing board members is tough. So I think having, I don't know if we want to call it an interview, but, and also then people can come too. I mean, obviously it'd be open to the public, and I don't know how you run that, John, if that means there's a public period as part of that
Well,
process.
There was a public period when you were appointed.
Well, there would be a public period at the vote portion, there would have to be a public period.
But in the meet the candidate.
There would not have to be a public period at the candidate. The public period would have to occur sometime before the vote was taken.
so just to make sure we're kind of going down the right path here, so I think what I heard is March 17th would be the deadline for applications.
It's either the 10th or the 17th, I would think, right?
But we don't make a decision until a month after that.
Right.
So is that, I mean, we don't have any new information, we kind of sit on that for a month?
No, so because you're saying the March 24th meeting wouldn't be the meet the candidate?
No, it would be, but then we still don't make the decision until 3 weeks after that. So is that, it seems to me that's an extraordinarily long.
Too much time?
I mean,
So you're just suggesting moving the process so that it's closer to the vote?
yeah, I mean,
So would you have a meet the candidate
I won't be
special
here,
meeting?
just so, I don't know though that for that next meeting, will I still be, I lose track when,
You don't come out till April.
Yeah.
You don't come out till
what you were talking about the vote being on.
April 14th.
Yeah.
So I'm still here?
Yes.
Okay.
And then on the April 28th meeting, we're out or we are in at the end of that meeting? How does that work?
The change in the guard happens in the beginning of the
Beginning of the meeting.
Yeah.
So the new people take seats.
And then you
on the-
and I go across the street.
That's right, that's right, that's right. Or it's
And then I can come afterwards, because y'all.
How does, I mean, I know we still haven't decided the date. I didn't know if, to the degree that this affects that, how would we normally decide, like, what's on the application, how we do run the meet the candidate, or what, is it,
Yeah.
do they address it, do we have set questions, how does that get decided? Is that just all we have to do that, or staff?
I would suggest that the application really is no more than it would be for any other city council seat. It really is,
Yeah.
are you a Maitland resident or are you 21 years old? I mean,
Your
they-
qualifications of elector, that's all that's in statute.
Right.
You can-
But if you
People
want to
can-
ask
people
for
can
more,
put
you can.
whatever they wanted.
You ask for a
They can
resume,
put their
you ask for
resume,
background.
So do we give them like,
Ask why they're interested.
do we give them 5 minutes to say whatever they want or something like that, and then maybe we ask questions if after? I mean, what is it? That's kind of what I'm.
Yeah, you can
what it
set the
looks like.
rules, it's very broad.
I feel like the
Like,
question should be the same for everybody if we ask them questions.
Yeah,
I don't know, however you guys think, I don't have a strong opinion about it.
that's kind of why I'm asking these questions. Is that what we want to do, or do we just want to give them 5 minutes to say, this is your opportunity, say something about yourself, and then just leave it at that and take that information in?
And I think the first question is going to become, if you do have 30 applicants, there would, I think by necessity, you have to whittle that down to a reasonable number if you're going to be doing interviews.
Mm-hmm.
So that becomes the first question. I guess the first question before that is, how do we cast that net? Do we just put it on our webpage? Do we really cast a wide net, put it out on all channels, newsletters, or do we rely on the recruiting power of the sitting city council?
Okay, so we have, how many, do we have a March 10th that we may or may not?
Yes.
March 24th?
April 14th and April 28th.
14th of April.
I think that, John, that we should, based on this, I agree with what you're saying about the timing, but if we don't have any idea, right? We could get one applicant,
Yeah.
or to Mark said 30. So I think you'd want to know that by the 17th. So at the 24th meeting, you can deal with it. And then,
But her vacancy isn't effective until the 25th.
understood, but, so you can have at the 24th meeting, I think the thought would be, at the 24th meeting, you would know how many applicants you had had. And at that meeting, you could then discuss whether or not you hold an interview, meet the candidate in advance of April 14th, or you just go straight to the April 14th meeting and call a vote.
That's what I was just gonna say, except for I had to read out all the dates from my eyeballs first,
Okay.
but yeah, I think if we made the deadline like March 10th or something like that, and then by March 24th, in preparation for our meeting, we would have time
Right.
as a group to go over that, discuss whatever we needed and whatever made sense. And then if there was the need, we decided to talk to them, we could do that at 4/14 meeting.
Right. So I think that I would see that the 24th, you know how many applicants there are. You then set a timeline for either meet the candidate interview process, which would either be done by a special meeting, or if there were only a few candidates, you could call it for the 14th and then call a vote on the 14th. Does that make
Well, I'm sure you have to, I think that we want to call it either one because, you know, if I was a candidate, I want to be out here. So if you said like, if it comes on the 14th and you only have 3, you can make a choice that day. Well, I need to know, do I need to be out there on the 14th or do I need to be out there?
Well, that's what I'm saying, at the meeting on the 24th, there would be no decision made on the 24th, I guess, unless there was only one person.
Right, I think more what he means is if we had 3
Right.
versus we had 30, then that conversation on a 24th would look different. Like if we only had 3, we'd probably say, let's have them come in on the 14th, whereas if we had 30, we might say, we need to whittle this down.
We need a special meeting in between.
Yeah.
And because there's a gap of 3 weeks between, we have the ability to set a special meeting between the 24th and the 14th.
Okay.
But
if
no
we
one would be
needed-
disadvantaged if they weren't here for that conversation.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess I'm thinking of the meeting at which we will make the decision, which is the 14th. I'm not sure that's the first time we want to hear from the applicants. I mean, if we're going to have like an interview process or just let them have 5 minutes of free time to address us, I'm not sure that's the time to make the decision. I would think we'd want to have that already done by the time we come to the meeting at which we're going to make the decision. So, I mean, I'm thinking of a room full of 20 people who just got fresh off their interviews, and then you get to sit here in front of everybody saying, we picked you, and everybody, the other 19 either mob us or go home. But so it's also, it doesn't give us enough time to really kind of digest, I think, the information we just heard. So I would rather hear that information and be prior to the decision meeting than making it on the day.
So set a special meeting now, just plan it now or do you think?
I think we can do it on the 14th. And I guess what I'm thinking is, so we're going to have, why don't we do this? I think for public consumption purposes, for the people who want to be considered for the seat, it's important for them to have a deadline. It's less important for us to have the details of the process worked out. So if we set tonight the 17th as the date by which anybody who's interested should apply, and we have yet another meeting on the 10th, which is the week prior to that meeting, we can discuss further what we think, you know, what this looks like. I doubt very strongly that we're going to get a whole lot of takers on this because it's, you know, we've got two open council seats and only 3 people have showed up for that possibility. I mean, that certainly is a more arduous process than just being appointed, but still, I think they're only going to be, I mean, I'd be surprised if there's more than a handful of people that are going to be wanting to be seated for this. So it probably, though, is important for people thinking about it to know what the deadline is. And as far as broadcasting it, I wouldn't do anything more than we already do for elections. I think anybody who's interested enough in participation in city matters will know what's going on. I don't think we need to go shake the trees for new
I
candidates.
agree.
yet.
Put it up on the webpage for.
Yeah, yeah, the webpage, and, and word of mouth, and, it'll get around to those people who need to know. I mean, I think we advertise as we usually do, and say the 17th is the day by which we expect to have applications. Lori will have them all in hand, and we'll turn them over to us, and then we can think about it, meet again on the 24th, and have a discussion about where we're headed at that point. If we don't need to, have a kumbaya moment at that point, we just need to discuss, I think. The kumbaya moment has to come on the 14th, which is still 3 weeks later. Give us more time to be tortured about it. So does that work? I mean,
So you're saying we would do the meet the candidate interview on the 24th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I really don't think.
Can we do that before the vacancy?
You can meet them, they just can't fill the vacancy until the vacancy exists.
Yeah. Yeah. And yes, so the vacancy will not be filled until the 14th.
So we'll collect applications. So you're saying the timeline would be that, and I think a little bit to this, that we would want to advertise the process a little bit when you're doing this. So you would say that the applications are due on the 17th. There will be a meet the candidate interview, whatever you want to call it, on the 24th.
Potentially.
Potentially.
They save the date,
Yeah.
And that, but depending on whatever.
Council consideration on the 24th.
Okay, and then we wouldn't reference the fact that potentially another meeting would be handled, and then and then we would say the final vote, or the expected final vote is April 14th.
Right.
Okay.
I think that works. Is that? Lindsay, you're still a member here. You can voice the opinion.
I'm leaving it all to you two guys to figure it out, but I think there definitely should be a multiple choice test on your knowledge of pickleball, and if you can't pass, then that's a skill testing.
I don't know how high the net is.
Will we be accepting powers of attorney for these applications? I believe that's a question for council.
Yeah, if you're gonna play, you got to show up and make the reservation.
I was thinking we would only accept people who failed the pickleball.
I don't have to accept all the applications in person. They can email them.
Yeah, I think that works. I mean, it is awkward because we can't make the decision until 3 weeks after we can't make the decision until the 14th, unless we'll set a special meeting prior to that for that purpose. And I don't know.
But you could do that, you could set that special meeting on the meeting of March 24th.
Yes.
So you have all the flexibility on the 24th to define the process as you move forward.
Right. But for the public, for the potential council members out there, what they need to know is applications by the 17th. Consideration on the 24th. Other things, TBD.
Yeah.
But they should also know that there's not going to be any actual decisions on the 24th. Okay, does anybody need more direction than that? That's an idea. We haven't really baked it yet because, of course, we haven't had any public comment on it. And let's open a public comment period. Does anybody in the public have any critique of our views? Everybody looks highly satisfied. So we'll close the public comment period. This will be difficult for somebody to frame up an emotion. Does anybody want to give it a try? It's not that difficult.
I will move to give direction to accept, we would like to appoint someone to fill the vacancy by application process that will have a deadline of March 17th with the advertisement that will reflect that, as well as that there is an intended interview, meet the candidate process on March 24th with a anticipated vote date of April 14th.
Do we need to add in the 17th, all applications are due?
She said that.
Oh, you did?
I second, I second.
All right, there you
Fine,
go.
gotcha.
Third.
All right. That's end of day, April 17th? I mean, March 17th?
That's written down, so.
Okay.
And as far as direction for Lori and I, we'll just get that posted on the city's website, and anybody can be directed to that.
Right.
Okay?
I also want to post the compensation.
Or lack of.
Just in case somebody has any ideas.
Remember when we shot that down a couple years ago? Got ourselves a raise now.
Yeah. Okay, we have a motion and
I second.
a second. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Hall Harrison?
Aye.
Councilmember Wurzel?
Aye.
Councilmember Wild?
Aye.
Councilmember Guthrie?
Aye.
Mayor Lauer?
Aye. Okay, we have the path forward. Let's move on to the next item, which is City Council scheduled meeting March 10th. Lori, would you like to introduce that item?
Yes, we have the election day is Tuesday, March 11th. They will be delivering equipment on Friday the 7th, which then the road stays secure and locked until it is retrieved on Wednesday. So we have a regular scheduled council meeting on the 10th. You can cancel it as Charter one requires you to meet once a month. Have it, move it to a different location, pick another day. It's up to you to decide.
Yeah. I talked to Mark, he said, I don't think there was much on there, right?
No, all we have on the March 10th meeting for right now are placeholders. We're looking at a cross-connection update ordinance, but that might not be ready at the time. Recodification ordinance, but we're working on that for like an eon now, but we're finally ready to cross the finish line, so one meeting won't make any difference there. That's really the only two things that are really important.
Okay. All right. So we could cancel it, or we could have it in the senior center or some other venue. Is there another venue around work? Is that?
Senior center probably the most likely, because that doesn't get used. Jay, senior center doesn't use much at night, does it?
Sorry?
Senior center doesn't get used much at night.
No.
Or Mayo. We could do it at Mayo.
If there's a big crowd, Mayo can be a little bit small, but we do it there. And that route gets used a lot more than senior
Oh,
center.
okay. Wow, really?
So we don't include anybody. Or do we?
Okay. What is the pleasure of the council on this? I mean,
I make a motion to cancel the meeting on March 10th, 2025.
but wait, we need to go out to the public on this.
Oh, okay.
Before we start on that. So any further comment up here? If not, let's open up to the public. Anybody from the public have any comments on whether or not we should meet on March 10th? All right. Not hearing anything from the public, we're going to close the public comment period, and the motion will be in order.
I'll keep my motion.
Okay, motion to cancel by Councilman Guthrie.
I'll second.
Second, you're going to give up one of your final meetings?
It's my birthday.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Good
I mean, we
reason.
could all meet, but we have to go to the bar.
I
so-
was gonna say, it's the Orlando Brewery.
Yeah, we could all.
If we all get a bar and I live stream it on Facebook, does that count for sunshine?
Me and Mark still talking about city business.
Even if I live stream it?
We live stream it.
That's a good place to have a meeting, Orlando.
Just supporting local businesses, that's all.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Lori, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Wurzel?
Aye.
Councilmember Wild? Councilmember Guthrie?
Aye.
Councilmember Hall Harrison? Aye. Mayor Lauer?
Aye. Okay, we are canceled for March 10th. And on to reports. Mr. City Attorney.
I have nothing.
Nothing. Nothing? All right. Mr. City Manager, any reports?
Yeah, just a quick announcement for some upcoming events. March 7th, get down downtown. We have Maitland Community Cleanup at Lake Sibylla on March 8th, Saturday. Moving the park this month on March 22nd, Saturday, March 22nd, is Kung Fu Panda 4, right out here in Independence Square. Maitland Jazz and Blues Festival, April 4th and 5th, again in Independence Square. Corks and Forks over at the venue on Lake Lily, April 26th, Saturday, April 26th. Our annual Maitland Tree Giveaway will take place the very next day, Sunday, April 27th, down at Lake Lily Park. And our Earth Day Farmers Market will be Sunday, April 27th, right out here in Independence Square. That's all I have.
Okay, and anybody on council have any?
I have some interesting news. So today, I met with the city manager and some staff in Deltona and discussed them doing a Highland game. And I advised them that second week in November would be good because it's nice and cool. The games haven't started yet. They'd be the first one, and it's close to Christmas, and retail would so well. Blah, blah, blah. We sat there for 3.5 hours and talked. And they just messaged me a little bit ago and said that this November they're going forward with the Highland Games in Deltona. So it'll be another Highland Games. So yes, and they have a nice big area for it, and I think they have a population of close to 100,000, so it should be done well. And then I'll let you talk about the baseball game if you want to.
No, go ahead.
Oh, so John and I were out there for the opening day of Maitland Little League. Very, very impressive. I mean, Laura, you remember this from your first time. We went out there and there was like 5 teams. It's really jumped up. Like 12 teams? So it's really improved. It's really coming back to life. The kids were excited. We walked out, there was like all these companies and tents and cookouts and giveaways, and it had a great, great energy and it had great support. So that's awesome.
One great thing about that too is it's true rec sports, which any parent of a child under 18 knows that true rec sports are hard to come by. And so it's a true learning league for kids who just want to learn or have fun, which is rare in baseball, especially these days. I also had the pleasure of being in Tallahassee recently, not for city business, however, within my city business, or my non-city business, I spoke with Representative David Smith, who we've seen here before, as well as our representative on Escamani, who both mentioned that they were excited to be seeking, hopefully, money for our projects here in Maitland. And Rep. Smith said he hopes to bring another one of those giant publishers clearinghouse checks to us sometime soon.
Awesome.
So there was some good news, which can be hard to come by in Tallahassee. So that was good.
Awesome.
Okay, good. Yeah, you don't hear much good news from Tallahassee. That's great. And so the issue, I guess I talked briefly to Mark about this, with the property appraiser, your office has not yet figured out the proper response. I don't know if you were involved with this.
I haven't been, I know what I heard, but not enough to speak intelligently about it.
Okay, all right. Okay, we'll look forward to hearing from the city attorney not on the 10th, but perhaps the 24th on that. Okay, anything else? Anybody else? Anything else? Okay, we are adjourned.
Always a fun time.